I installed a nanny cam to watch the dog, but I caught my wife and my best friend destroying my life instead. I'm sitting in my truck on my lunch break, eating a sandwich I made myself because my wife said she was too busy. I opened the nanny cam app on my phone just to check on Max, our golden retriever. It's usually the highlight of my day, watching him sleep on the rug, but my thumb slips. I tap the wrong camera icon. Instead of the living room, the master bedroom feed loads. The image is crystal clear, 4K resolution, and it isn't empty. My wife, Sarah, is there. She isn't at work, and she isn't alone. My best friend, Mike, the man who stood next to me at my wedding, is with her. They are in my bed, tangled together, betraying me in the worst way possible. My phone almost fell out of my hand. The world stopped spinning, but then the movement stopped. They sat up, and Sarah said the words that didn't just end my marriage, they ended my entire reality. As soon as he loses the job, we initiate the crash. I check the policy. It's double indemnity for accidental death. $2 million, Mike. We'll be gone before the funeral is even planned. Your stomach just dropped, right? Mine did too. But keep reading, because what Mike said next turned this from a heartbreak story into a horror movie. Please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell right now. If you believe that evil people eventually get what they deserve, you need to hear how this ends. And drop a comment telling me where you're listening from. I couldn't breathe. The air in my truck cab felt like it had been sucked out into space. My hands were shaking so violently I dropped my sandwich onto the floor mat. I wanted to close the app. I wanted to throw the phone out the window and pretend I never saw it, but I didn't. I pressed the record button. On the screen, Mike laughed. It was a cold, hollow sound. He reached over to the nightstand, my nightstand, and picked up a glass of water. Don't worry about the job, Mike. I already took care of the truck. I loosened the bleeder valve on the rear brakes this morning when I came over to borrow the ladder. It's a slow leak. The fluid will hold for city driving, but the moment he hits the highway speeds on his way home, the pressure will blow. No brakes at 70 miles per hour. I froze. I looked at the dashboard of my truck, the truck I was sitting in right now, the truck I had driven to work, the truck Mike knew I drove on the interstate every single evening. Sarah giggled. It was a sound I used to love. Now it sounded like a demon. He's so stupid. He'll probably text me, "I love you," right before he hits the guardrail. He's pathetic. He's not pathetic. He's a paycheck. A $2 million paycheck. I felt the bile rise in my throat. I opened the door of the truck and vomited onto the asphalt. My best friend, my wife, they weren't just having an affair. They were currently, actively murdering me. Here's the first question for you. If you heard your spouse and your best friend detailing exactly how they sabotaged your vehicle to kill you, what would you do in that exact second? Would you scream? Would you panic? Would you rush home and attack them? Tell me in the comments. I really want to know if I reacted normally. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Something inside me snapped. The part of me that was a loving husband died right there in that parking lot. A different version of me took over. A cold, calculating version. I watched the rest of the video live. They got out of bed. I watched Mike walk to my closet. He opened my safe. He knew the combination. I had given it to him 3 years ago when we went on vacation, just in case of an emergency. He took out the emergency cash stack, $32,000. Savings I had built up for a down payment on a vacation home for Sarah. He tossed it into a duffel bag. Then Sarah walked over to the dresser. She picked up the wooden box that sat on top, my grandfather's gold watch. He left it to me when he passed. It was the only thing I had left of him. "We can sell this too," Sarah said, tossing it to Mike like it was a piece of trash. "Perfect," Mike said. "Costa Rica is going to be nice this time of year." I ended the recording. I immediately uploaded the video to my cloud storage. Then I emailed the file to my work address. Then I texted the video to my sister in another state, 5 copies. If the brakes failed and I died, the video would survive. I looked at the truck, my death trap. I couldn't drive it. If Mike was telling the truth, and why wouldn't he be, the brakes were a ticking bomb. I left the truck in the parking lot. I called an Uber. The ride home took 20 minutes. It felt like 20 years. Every minute I stared at the phone. I checked the cameras again. They were still there. They had moved downstairs to the kitchen. They were eating my food, drinking my wine, celebrating my death before I was even dead. The Uber driver tried to make small talk. "How's your day going, man?" I looked at him in the rearview mirror. My eyes must have looked dead. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. We pulled up down the street from my house. I didn't want them to see a car pull into the driveway. I wanted the element of surprise.
I tipped the Uber driver $50 and told him to drive away quietly. I stood on the sidewalk. My house looked the same. The lawn was mowed. The flower baskets Sarah had planted were blooming. It looked like a happy home. It was a slaughterhouse. I walked to the front door. My heart was hammering against my ribs so hard I thought it would crack them. I had to be smart. I had to be careful. Mike was bigger than me. If this turned physical and he knew his life was over, he might try to finish the job right there. I unlocked the door silently. I didn't open it yet. I listened. Laughter. They were laughing. "Make sure you cry hard at the funeral," Mike was saying. "Oh, I will. I'll wear that black dress he bought me." "The irony is delicious," Sarah replied. I pushed the door open. I stepped into the hallway. Max, my dog, came running around the corner, tail wagging. He was the only pure thing in this house. I knelt down and hugged him. I whispered, "Go to your crate, boy. Go." Max sensed the tension. He whined, but he obeyed. He trotted off to the laundry room. I walked into the kitchen. They were sitting at the island. Sarah was painting her nails, red. Mike was scrolling on his phone, using my credit card to order something online, probably first-class tickets. I stood in the doorway for a full 10 seconds before they noticed me. I just watched them. I engraved the image into my mind, the banality of evil. Then I cleared my throat. They jumped. Mike dropped his phone. It clattered on the counter. Sarah spun around, the nail polish brush smearing red across her hand like blood. "Honey," Sarah squeaked. Her voice went up an octave. You're home early. Mike came over to fix the sink." The lie was so quick, so practiced. "Hey, buddy. Yeah, the drain was clogged. Just helping out." I didn't say a word. I didn't yell. I just walked over to the counter. I picked up my grandfather's watch from the pile of loot they had stacked next to the fruit bowl. I put it in my pocket. Then I picked up the stack of cash. I put that in my pocket too. "What are you doing?" Mike asked, his voice hardening. "Baby, you're acting weird," Sarah said. She stood up and tried to walk toward me. She reached for my arm. "Don't touch me," I whispered. She froze. I pulled out my phone. I tapped the screen. I turned the volume all the way up. I loosened the bleeder valve, no brakes, at 70 miles per hour. Mike's voice filled the kitchen. Sarah's face went white, not pale, white, like a sheet of paper. Mike's eyes went wide. He looked at the back door. He was calculating the distance. I swiped the screen. He's so stupid. He'll probably text me, "I love you," right before he hits the guardrail. He's pathetic. Sarah's voice echoed off the granite countertops. I stopped the video. The silence in the kitchen was heavy, heavy enough to crush us. So, I looked at Mike. "You fixed the sink, or you fixed my brakes." Mike didn't answer. He was trembling.
Sarah was painting her nails, red. Mike was scrolling on his phone, using my credit card to order something online, probably first-class tickets. I stood in the doorway for a full 10 seconds before they noticed me. I just watched them. I engraved the image into my mind, the banality of evil. Then I cleared my throat. They jumped. Mike dropped his phone. It clattered on the counter. Sarah spun around, the nail polish brush smearing red across her hand like blood. "Honey," Sarah squeaked. Her voice went up an octave. You're home early. Mike came over to fix the sink." The lie was so quick, so practiced. Mike stood up, forcing a smile that looked like a grimace. "Hey, buddy. Yeah, the drain was clogged. Just helping out." I didn't say a word. I didn't yell. I just walked over to the counter. I picked up my grandfather's watch from the pile of loot they had stacked next to the fruit bowl. I put it in my pocket. Then I picked up the stack of cash. I put that in my pocket too. "What are you doing?" Mike asked, his voice hardening. We were just looking at that." "Sit down," I said. My voice was terrifyingly calm. It didn't sound like me. "Baby, you're acting weird," Sarah said. She stood up and tried to walk toward me. She reached for my arm. "Don't touch me," I whispered. She froze. I pulled out my phone. I tapped the screen. I turned the volume all the way up. I loosened the bleeder valve. No brakes. At 70 miles per hour. Mike's voice filled the kitchen. Sarah's face went white. Not pale, white, like a sheet of paper. Mike's eyes went wide. He looked at the back door. He was calculating the distance. I swiped the screen. "He's so stupid. He'll probably text me, 'I love you,' right before he dies." Sarah's voice echoed off the granite countertops. I stopped the video. The silence in the kitchen was heavy, heavy enough to crush us. "So," I said, looking at Mike, "you fixed the sink, or you fixed my brakes?"
Mike didn't answer. He was trembling. Sarah burst into tears, but they weren't the fake tears she planned for the funeral. These were tears of terror. "Baby, please, it was a joke. It was just a role play. We were just talking crazy. We didn't mean it." "A joke," I repeated. "Loosening the bleeder valve is a joke. I didn't actually do it. I was just talking tough to impress her." "That's interesting, because I just had a mechanic check the truck in the parking lot at work. And guess what he found?" I was lying. I hadn't had it checked yet, but I needed to see his reaction. Mike collapsed. He literally slumped back onto the bar stool like his strings had been cut. He knew. Sarah screamed, "You can't do this to us! We're your family!" "Family?" I laughed. "You were going to bury me in a closed casket so you could go to Costa Rica?" I pointed to the ceiling, to the corner of the kitchen. "And by the way, that camera?" I pointed to the living room. "And that one?" I pointed to the hallway. "They record audio too. Everything you've said for the last 20 minutes, it's already in the cloud." Mike stood up again. "Give me the phone." He stepped toward me. "Give me the phone, or I swear to God—" "Or you'll what?" I asked. "Kill me here instead of on the highway? Make it messy?" I held up the phone. "I already sent the video to your wife, Mike, and to your boss, and to the police." That was the blow that broke him. "Your wife?" he whispered. "Yeah, Becky. She just texted me back. She wants to know why you're in my bed." Mike looked at Sarah. Sarah looked at Mike. The team was falling apart. "I'm leaving," Mike said. He turned and ran for the back door. He didn't even grab his shoes. He ran out in his socks. Sarah ran after him. "Mike, don't leave me here! Mike!" She chased him into the yard, screaming his name. I didn't chase them. I walked over to the landline phone on the wall. I dialed 911. 911, what is your emergency?" "My wife and her lover just attempted to murder me. I have video evidence. They're fleeing the scene on foot." I have to ask you this, because I still think about it every night. When someone tries to kill you, deeply betrays you, do you forgive them, or do you make sure they pay for every single second of pain? Tell me in the comments. Be honest, because I made my choice, and some people say I went too far. The police arrived in 6 minutes. I met them in the driveway. I showed the sergeant the video. He watched it twice. He looked at me and said, "Sir, you are the luckiest man alive." They found Sarah hiding in the neighbor's bushes 3 houses down. She was sobbing, hysterical. When they handcuffed her, she screamed, "He's lying! It's a deepfake! It's AI!" The neighbors watched as she was shoved into the back of a cruiser. They caught Mike 2 hours later. He was at a gas station trying to buy a burner phone. He still didn't have shoes on. That night, my house was a crime scene. Police took the truck. They confirmed the brake lines had been tampered with. It wasn't just loose. He had used a wrench to compromise the integrity of the line. It would have failed, exactly as he said. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers and news reporters. The headline was everywhere. "Nanny cam catches murder plot." My phone blew up. Sarah's parents called me. Her mother screamed at me. "How could you have her arrested? She's your wife. She made a mistake." "A mistake is forgetting to take out the trash," I told her. "Planning a double indemnity homicide is a felony." Mike's wife, Becky, came to see me. She brought a folder. "I went through his computer," she said, her eyes red from crying. "He's been stealing from your company, too." She handed me the proof. Mike had been funneling money out of our business accounts for 6 months. The murder wasn't just for the insurance money. It was to cover up the embezzlement before the end-of-year audit. In court, the video was the star witness. Sarah tried to plead not guilty. She claimed Mike coerced her. Mike tried to plead guilty to get a deal. He claimed it was Sarah's idea. They turned on each other like starving rats. I sat in the front row every day. I wanted them to see me. I wanted them to see the man they failed to kill. When the video played in the courtroom, the part where Sarah said I was stupid and would text me "I love you" before dying, the jury gasped. I saw a juror wipe away a tear. Sarah put her head on the table and wept. Real tears this time. Not for me, for herself. The judge had no mercy. He said this was a cold, calculated, and depraved betrayal of trust. Sarah got 25 years. Conspiracy to commit murder. Mike got 15 years. Conspiracy to commit murder plus embezzlement. The divorce was finalized in record time. I got everything. The house, the savings, the investments, and Max. Sarah got a prison uniform and a commissary account. I sold the house. I couldn't sleep in that bedroom anymore. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. I bought a cabin up north. A smaller place. Quiet. It's just me and Max now. Every Christmas, I get a letter from the state penitentiary. It's from Sarah. The envelope is always stamped inmate correspondence. I don't know what she writes. I don't know if she's sorry. I don't know if she begs for forgiveness. I throw the letters directly into the fireplace. Watching the paper curl and turn to ash is the only Christmas tradition I have left. I still have the nanny cam app on my phone. Sometimes late at night, when the wind howls outside, I open the app. I look at the cameras in my empty cabin. I check the bedroom. I check the kitchen, just to make sure no one is there. The paranoia never really goes away. When a friend pats me on the back, I flinch. When a woman smiles at me, I wonder what she wants. Here's my last question for you. If the people who hurt you the most ended up in prison, rotting away, would you finally feel peace, or would you still feel empty inside? Because honestly, I feel empty. I won, I survived, I'm rich, but I lost my best friend and the love of my life in the same afternoon. Justice feels good, but it doesn't keep you warm at night. Please hit subscribe and turn on the bell. Because next week, I'm telling the story of a man who found the same kind of video, but he didn't call the police. He didn't scream. He waited. He planned. And when he was done, nobody ever saw his wife or his friend again. You think my story was
dark? You are not ready for that one. Stay safe. And remember, if you buy a camera for the dog, point one at the bed. It might just save your life.